So we have done the first three books of the second part, the birth and the quest, the book of love, and the book of fate. We are keeping aside for some time the next book, the fourth book of the second part, the book of yoga, and jumping straight to the book of death, book 8. Now, just to give a little background of what preceded the, or rather what precedes the book of death in the present text of Savitri is what we are here, the seventh canto of the book of yoga. Savitri was receiving instructions to do her yoga for a specific purpose. Do this, do this, do this, do this. At every stage, she was getting the guidance from Divine Savitri. And the human Savitri was proceeding according to that guidance. At one point, she was told to annul herself totally, to be nothing, God's zero, absolute zero. Savitri had discovered her soul. The divine Savitri had established herself in the soul of Savitri. So all the centers of her activity, of the subtle body, are now charged with the power of the divine Savitri. All the centers of activity, chakras as we call them. So at that point, Savitri is told, look, Savitri, what you have done is very good. But this is the first step towards perfection. You have discovered your soul, you have established the divine power in your soul, you have established the divine power in the subtle physical, but that is the first step towards perfection. Now, in fact, it is here you can see the difference. Sri Aurobindo Yoga begins with the discovery of the soul. From that point onward, something else has to happen. What is that else? Yes, first stage of perfection is achieved. The point is, she is told, soul, all right, you have found soul, you have the power of the soul now in you, but what about your nature? Your nature is still the same old inconscient nature. The physical, the vital, the mental, everything still belongs to the inconscious. What about that? Therefore, the discovery of the soul is the first step. The conquest, the change, the transformation, or dealing with the nature is the important thing which she has to pursue now. And therefore, she was advised to annul herself totally, completely, empty herself out fully. Whatever she had, she has to pour out from her being, totally, completely. Become absolutely open, void to receive nothing but the divine power, the powers of the spirit, you see. Your nature should also open to that. And therefore, the canto's name, sixth canto of the book of yoga, is Nirvana. Nirvana means you are really blowing out yourself totally into emptiness. That is the real sense of nirvana. All that belongs to the physical nature, to the vital nature, to the mental nature has to go away. Then only the divine power can come, reside in it, and do its work unhindered by the forces of lower nature. If they are present, you cannot really do freely what you would like to do, you see. So she is told to empty herself out fully. Annul yourself, that only God be. That is what she is told, that only God be. Annul yourself, that only God be. Let us see if we can get that. 128.3.1. We'll quickly see the steps which Savitri has to now follow after the discovery of the soul. O soul, bear not thy kingdom to the foe. Yes, it's a very precious soul now. Don't expose it to the enemy. Preserve it, protect it, guard it. Consent to hide the royalties of bliss, lest time and fate find out its avenues and beat with thunderous knock upon thy gate. They will come and invade you, time and fate. Guard your soul. It is your precious possession now. Hide whilst thou canst the treasure of separate self behind the luminous rampart of thy depths, till of a vast empire it grows part. Yes, remain aloof. Guard it. Guard it for what? Not for yourself. But not for self alone. The self is one. You want to guard the self, not for the sake of the self. Content abide not with one conquered realm. Adventure all to make the whole world thine. Yes, you have achieved, but what about the world? What about the collective? To break into greater kingdoms, turn thy foes into greater kingdoms, to turn thy foes. That is the mission of Savitri. The discovery of the soul is the precondition. You have achieved that condition, precondition. From this point onward, now you have to proceed. And then she is to fear not to be nothing, that thou mayst be all. Be nothing first. By becoming nothing, then you will become all. Unless you empty out the cup, you cannot have the true contents in the cup. If you keep something back and if you pour on that, it will get mixed up. It can be not a very healthy thing for you to do if you mix up that. You see. Accept to be small and human on earth, interrupting thy newborn divinity. Newborn divinity. Savitri has discovered her soul. That is the newborn divinity of Savitri. That man may find his utter self in God. Okay, then she goes on further. Thou hast come down into a struggling world to aid a blind and suffering mortal race. That is the mission of your life. Struggling world, you have come for that purpose. To aid blind and suffering mortal race. To open to light the eyes that could not see. To bring down bliss into the heart of grief. To make thy life a bridge betwixt earth and heaven. See the golden bridge. That is the golden bridge which you have to build between earth and heaven. She becomes the golden bridge when she has done this, when she has emptied herself out. She is the golden bridge, the wonderful fire. But when she has annulled herself totally. That is the condition for becoming a golden bridge. To make thy life a bridge betwixt earth and heaven, if thou wouldst save the toiling universe, the vast universal suffering feel as thine. Thou must bear the sorrow that thou claims to heal. If you don't accept the sorrow of this world, how can you heal the sorrow? The daybringer must walk in darkest night. He who would save the world must share its pain. Savitri must accept that. If he knows not grief, how shall he find grief's cure? Obviously, if the gods want to save us from grief, they must experience grief. For that, they must come down here. Not by remaining heaven can they really save us from grief. At the most, what they can do is they can pull us to heaven, but don't save us from grief. See? If far he walks above mortality's head, how shall the mortal reach that too high a path? Okay, and then God must be born on earth and be as man. That man, being human, may grow even as God. That is what Savitri has to do. Yes, you are not human. You are human. You are not God. But that does not mean that you cannot become God. You have to become God here on earth. He who save the world must be one with the world. All suffering things contain in his heart's space and bear the grief and joy of all that live. All suffering things contain in his heart's space. That is what Savitri is. Love in her was wider than the universe. The whole world could take refuge in a single heart. His soul must be wider. There you are, you see. His soul must be wider than the universe and feel eternity as its very stuff, rejecting the moment's personality. Know itself older than the birth of time. So long before time began, he was already there. He is beyond time. He is a part of eternity who steps into time. He is already there before time comes into existence. Creation and incident in his consciousness. Arcturus and Belphegor, grains of fire, the great objects and beings like Arcturus. Arcturus is one of the brightest stars, suns in the sky. What is that after all? It is only a grain of fire, small fire. Circling in a corner of his boundless self, the world's destruction, a small transient storm, in the calm infinity it has become. If thou wouldst a little loosen the vast chain, draw back from the world that the idea has made, thy mind selection from the infinite, thy senses gloss on the infinitables are done, then shalt thou know how the great bondage came. If you be free of your idea, then you will know what the bondage is. You have to be first free. You have your own fixed notions. Because this idea belongs to the mental plane. What you have to have is the real idea. The real idea belongs to the supramental world. You are bound here by idea, by mental conceptions, by notions of mind and things like that. You have to go beyond that. Draw back from the world that the idea has made. You are a mental being, you see. That shall thou know the great bondage came. Therefore she says, banish all thought from thee. Banish all thought from thee and be God's void. That is the precondition. Banish all thought from thee and be God's void. Thought, idea, they belong to the mental plane. You have to go beyond that. You should be thoughtless, thought-less, you see, without any thought. If you are empty of that, then you are God's void. In a certain sense, it is equivalent to silent mind, without any thought. Sri Aurobindo had that first experience around 1st January 1908 of silent mind in Baroda. 1st January 1908, silent mind. And it is that which he had gifted to the mother when they met first on 29th March 1914, you see, the silent mind. Now, that is a precondition. Banish all thought. That is nirvana in a way. Or you can say passive Brahman here. But here, this is more than that. Absolutely no thought. She's told to do. Now, how to do? That she has to work out. She'll get guidance. You see. If you have removed all thought, means all your conceptions, ideas, notions of things which you have got of the mental being, they have to go away. There is something more than that beyond the mental being. Then shalt thou uncover the unknowable. The unknown is not known. The unknown can be known. The unknown can be known. But the unknowable is not really knowable. It is beyond description, beyond any conception, beyond any expression also. It is the ineffable. Now, the power of emptying yourself out, of being God's void, is that you can even uncover the unknowable. That is the beauty of it. If you are becoming God's void, then you can have an access to the unknowable. The unknowable can be known, can become knowable when you have become God's void. And superconscient conscious grow on thy tops. That is Satchidananda consciousness. Infinity is vision, through thy gaze shall pierce. Thou shalt look into the eyes of the unknown. Now, with that capacity of uncovering the unknowable, then you can look into the unknown. Find the hid truth in things seen, null and false. This world which is there, which you have been calling as mithya, illusion, false, unreality, you will know its truth once you have that vision. Behind things known, discover mysteries rare. So this is an experience which goes far, far beyond the Vedantic experience. That although it is unknowable, the unknowable can become sort of graspable if you have emptied out yourself fully. That is the power of becoming God's void. Thou shalt be one with God's bare reality, and the miraculous world He has become, and the diviner miracle still to be. Yes, this is what will happen, but that is not the end of it. You have achieved so far the first perfection. You have discovered your soul. That is the first step towards perfection. But beyond that, there is another perfection of diviner miracle. This nature which is born of inconscience should become a part of superconscious, should become a part of divine. When nature, who is now unconscious God, translucent grows to the eternal light, that is the real perfection. Her seeing his sight, her walk, his steps of power, and life is filled with a spiritual joy, and matter is the Spirit's willing bride. So she is herself to the power of the Spirit. Consent to be nothing and none. You are nobody, absolutely nobody. Dissolve time's work, cast off thy mind. Cast off thy mind, step back from form and name. This objective reality which is there, this subjective reality which is there, you have to even go beyond that. Name and form, name, nama, rupa, that is what we call nama and rupa. These are all names, and rupa, form, figures. Beyond that, you have to go and see the reality behind it. Each object has its own basic reality. It is that which you have to see. Annul thyself, that only God may be. Now, this is the most powerful instruction Savitri gives. This is the last instruction Savitri gives in her yoga. Yoga towards transformation. Yoga towards conquest of death. Annul thyself, that only God may be. Only when God is there in you, then only you can meet death, face death, and conquer him. If you are containing something, you are holding something back in you, which belongs to inconscience, then death will pounce upon you and catch you there. You have to throw away that thing. You have to have no link at all, so to say, with inconsciousness. Annul thyself, that only God may be. Now, this is the instruction which Savitri gives, and of course, she does all her yoga, etc., 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 and proceeds. And finally, what happens is something beautiful. Let us read some of those last lines. So, what happened after that, after the realization? A lowly absolute negated all. 130.46. Lowly absolute, nothing of Savitri. It effaced the ignorant world from its solitude and drowned the soul in its everlasting peace. That is the kind of peace Savitri gets now, after annulling herself totally and becoming God. A lowly absolute negated all. 130.46. Lowly absolute, nothing of Savitri. It effaced the ignorant world from its solitude and drowned the soul in its everlasting peace. That is the kind of peace Savitri gets now, after annulling herself totally and becoming God. But in other words, Savitri would have merged and gone lost into that absolute. She is no more there now, nothing. Savitri has nothing of her own now. She would have become totally that void itself. Savitri as a person would not be there because she was told to annul herself. It would have been what one would call laya, the dissolution of Savitri into that absolute void. She has withdrawn from the entire manifestation. She would have withdrawn. Become nothing means you are out of manifestation now. You have no connection at all with this one. In other words, that would have been kind of a danger. Savitri has a mission to do. She is told to annul herself totally and be void, disappear from it. Then what happens here? How does she come back and do things? That's the beauty of the spiritual experience Savitri has here. Absolutely unique. The uniqueness lies in the fact that it is the ancient mother clutched her child to her breast. Savitri would have vanished. She would have disappeared into the void. Then what? She was told to go away, she would have gone away. But then the ancient mother, she would not allow Savitri to go away. The power of the evolutionary force is there on earth, that ancient mother who has been toiling since the beginning of this evolutionary creation. She has been toiling since the beginning of this evolution. She would not allow Savitri to disappear like that. How can you go away, Savitri? You have work here to do. You are told to do something, you have done it. But then what happens here? The ancient mother clutched her child back. She put her back. No, Savitri, you cannot go. Pressing her close in her environing arm, as if earth, ever the same, could forever keep the living spirit and body in her clasp. As if death were not there, nor end, nor change. So that is the power now which brings Savitri back. Savitri was told to annul herself, she has done it, she would have disappeared. But the power of this earth, the ancient mother, who is the soul of this earth, she would not allow Savitri to go away. She says, my child, how can you go away? You have to come back here. She brings her back, you see. And then, from that point onward, the real battle on earth begins. See, a big change has taken place in Savitri. Savitri has been brought back.
Sri Aurobindo went into the Nirvana. When Sri Aurobindo had Nirvanic experiences and he went there, how did he come back? Was it the ancient mother who told him, stay here?
He was aware of his spirit's consciousness, spirit's work. Always.
So he didn't go too far?
He had experience. What is the purpose of the inconscient of Nirvana? To see that all that is inconscient in you, that disappears. It is that which disappears. He should not hold you back. He should not come in the way of your work.
Normally you go into Nirvana and
then finished, gone.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
That will be very bad for us. But there are souls who would like to disappear that way also. There are who like, as I told you last time, Ravana's example is a famous example. He wanted to totally go away from this creation, to merge himself totally, entirely into the Supreme. And therefore he makes Supreme himself as his enemy. Rama gets defeated and gets totally absorbed in him. He prefers to go out of existence altogether. He merges entirely into the being of Rama, of the divine. But in other words, that was his mission. In fact, that is what happened in the case of the Buddha. When he was standing on the verge of Nirvana, he would have gone and disappeared from this one. There was something there behind saying, no, what about this creation? And that Buddha standing on the borderline of nirvana, between this and that, they are named as Amitabha Buddha.
Normally the soul gets dissolved in the nirvana.
It could have gone and disappeared.
The soul disappears or gets dissolved?
Everything goes away. It
There's
dissolves.
no soul.
No, nothing remains. You have dissolved totally. As if you have put
Never
a
existed.
pinch of sugar in water and disappeared, or milk. Gone. Finished. So, in fact, that is the great. In fact, that is what happens in the case of the avatar. Avatar has that experience with nirvana, but at the same time, there is something in him which holds him back. Buddha, he is on the borderline of nirvana, entering into that thing, but the avatar is there. No, you cannot. Dukkha, pain, suffering, sorrow, this world, you come for that. But at the same time, that experience is necessary experience. In fact, in one of the letters, Sri Aurobindo mentions that Buddha's experience of nirvana is of course very important because it has to deal with the inconscient nature. It has to totally go away. And therefore, Buddha in this series of avatars has a place to stand. He is an avatar. But he also says that although chronologically Buddha comes after Krishna, Krishna is the overmind avatar. It is he who has brought down the overmind into the earth consciousness, Krishna's consciousness, globality. And afterwards comes Buddha, chronologically. Maybe 2,500 years afterwards. I will put the Mahabharata war around 3100 BC. And Buddha is 2500 BC, roughly. So that is the time gap between Krishna and Buddha. Now, Sri Aurobindo says that although chronologically Buddha came after Krishna, spiritually the realization of nirvana should precede the realization of overmind consciousness. Spiritually, the order is reversed. Only when these two are established, then can the next avatar, so to say, think of bringing down the higher power, supermind. Supermind. That is what happens. Next avatar, full avatar. In between, of course, we had Christ also to pave the path, to prepare the collective for a certain growth, to bring out the power of divine love in human nature. So that is the way. So you have got Krishna, Buddha, Christ. Then the supramental avatar. Now, this is the experience Savitri has. There was some high surpassing secrecy. Now, what happened to that experience? Savitri has that experience, but the whole world around feels so differently. The spiritual atmosphere which is there in the Shalva woods of that time, they experienced something different. There was some high surpassing secrecy. And when she sat alone with Satyavan, her moveless mind with his just search and strove. See, her moveless mind. But his is still searching and striving. In the hush of the profound and intimate night, she turned to the face of a veiled, voiceless truth, hid in the dumb recesses of the heart, or waiting beyond the last peak lined by thought. Unseen itself, it sees the struggling world and prompts our quest, but cares not to be found. Out of the distant vast came a reply. Savitri is in that condition and she receives something. Something unknown, unreached, inscrutable sent down the messages of his bodiless light. So from there, all kind of messages, without any being, without any form, bodiless, they come. Cast lightning flashes of a thought, not ours, crossing the immobile silence of her mind. In its might of irresponsible sovereignty, what a wonderful thing this is. Irresponsible sovereignty. That is what we had. You have to be sovereign, but you are not responsible to anything. Irresponsible here means absolutely free, not bound by any mental notions of things at all, anywhere. Irresponsible, it's a very powerful phrase, irresponsible sovereignty, kind of a oxymoron, you see. If you have to have real sovereignty, you should be really irresponsible. He seized on speech to give those flaming shame, made beat the heart of wisdom in a world, and spoke immortal things to mortal through mortal lips. So Savitri is a human Savitri. Through her mortal lips, whatever she is speaking, what is she speaking? She is speaking of immortal things. She has become an instrument, a channel for the powers of the spirit to rush out from her being. Or she is in the company of the great sages, or listening to the sages in the woods. There are rishis, there are munis, there are accomplished sages there around, and they have kind of satsanga or get-togethers, and when they meet, then are listening to the sages of the world. In question and in answer, broke from her high, strange, revealing, impossible to men. What she was speaking, they were also stunned. What is Savitri speaking? All those rishis were stunned with that. Something or someone secret and remote took hold of her body for his mystic use. So Savitri is not Savitri, somebody else is working through her, acting through her. Her mouth was seized to channel ineffable truths, knowledge unthinkable, found and utterance. Naturally, when Savitri is speaking like that to those rishis, they are astonished. Astonished by a new enlightenment, invaded by a streak of the absolute. Where is that enlightenment is coming? It is coming from the absolute itself. Astonished by a new enlightenment, invaded by a streak of the absolute, they marveled at her. They, those sages of the woods, all those great realized souls who are there around, who had done years and years of tapasya, they were stunned, astonished. What is Savitri speaking? We had never known of that. They marveled at her, for she seemed to know what they had only glimpsed at times afar. They had done long tapasya, but they had only a small little glimpse once in a while of that. But Savitri is kind of familiar living with that all the while. These thoughts were formed not in her listening brain. Her vacant heart was like a stringless harp. So there you are, see, you can just imagine a harp which has no string, and yet it keeps on playing music. It keeps on playing music. Impassive, the body claimed not its own voice. No, Savitri is not Savitri who is speaking there, somebody else. But let the luminous greatness through it pass. She has lent herself, yes, and she has become a free channel which will not hinder the divine flow. A dual power at being's occult repose, still inactive, nameless and invisible. Her divine emptiness was their instrument. What are the dual powers? Inconscient nature dealt with the world it had made and using still the body's instrument. It is using the body's instruments. Slipped through the conscious void she had become. The inconscient nature itself is entering into her being. The superconscious, so you have got the inconscient nature. She is talking about dual power, no? Dual power. It doesn't leave anything uh, without narrating it, telling it, revealing it what it is. First is the inconscient nature. Then the superconscious mystery. Through that void, mission is world to touch the thoughts of men. So she has become now a double power, see, in that sense. Mission this world to touch the thoughts of men. As yet, this great impersonal speech was rare, obviously. But now, the unmoving, wide spiritual space in which her mind survived tranquil and bare, admitted a traveler from the cosmic bliss. So she is now allowing somebody to come from the cosmos here. A thought came through, draped as an outer voice. She is impersonal, so she is allowing, she can do that. It called not for the witness of the mind. It spoke not to the hushed receiving heart. It came direct to the pure perception of the seed. So not through any channel, through any instruments, it comes directly to her. Okay, so it goes on, we'll see that thing. There was no person there, no centered mind, no seed of feeling on which beat event or objects wrought and shape reactions to stress. There was no motion in this inner world. All was a still and even infinity. So it is under these conditions, with this kind of spiritual realization already. But now she sat by sleeping Satyavan, awake within, and enormous night surrounded her with the unknowable so vast. See, that's the whole beauty of it. In spite of that experience and all that, she is alert to what she has to do. She is with a sleeping Satyavan. Yes, there is a work to do here. There is a work to do here. She is alert to that. Surrounded her with the unknowable Savas. She is sitting there with Satyavan, and what is going to happen? Only unknowable. A voice began to speak from her own heart that was not hers, yet mastered thought and sense. Mastered her thought and her sense. That voice took possession of her thought and sense. And as it spoke, all changed within her and without. Savitri has lent herself to that voice, and she is allowing her to express itself to her. There was no more a universe built by mind, a star. Yeah. There was the unreal, there the unreal could not find a place. The sense of unreality was slain. There was all conscious made of the infinite. All had a substance of eternity. This is a very powerful thing. Substance of eternity. Everything what she sees here has the contents of eternity. It was all love and the one beloved's arms. It was sight and thought in one all-seeing mind. It was joy of being on the peaks of God. On the peaks of God. She passed beyond time into eternity, slipped out of space and became the infinite. Her being rose into unreachable heights and found no end of its journey in the self. There is no limit itself, it is infinite. Naturally, she finds no end to that. It plunged into the unfathomable deep and found no end to the silent mystery. She was all vastness and one measureless point. Her spirit saw the world as living God. So that is the experience now she has. Yes, this whole world, it is God who is living and breathing here, existing here. It saw the one and knew that all was He. Where is it that He is not there? In stone, in birds, in animals, in all the creatures, everywhere. She knew Him in the absolute self-space, one with the self and ground of all things here, in which the world wanders seeking for the truth, guarded behind his face of ignorance. She followed him to the march of endless time. She was the single self of all these selves. She was in them and they were all in her. That is a great experience. She was in them. And they were all in her. So it's a double experience. She is present everywhere and they are present in her. This first was an immense identity in which her own identity was lost. The cosmos flowered in her. She was its bed. So she is the soil now in which the garden is blooming. She was time and the dreams of God in time. She was space and the wideness of His days. From this, she rose where time and space were not. The superconscious was her native air. Infinity was her movement's natural space. Eternity looked out from her on time. It is through her now eternity is seeing all the moments of time. Now this is the great siddhi of Savitri's yoga. This is what you would call the fruit, the siddhi of the yoga. Phalashruti of her yogic tapasya. The reward of yoga. From this she rose where time and space are not. The subconscious was her native air. Infinity was her movement's natural space. Eternity looked out from her on time. So, space and time acquire value now because of this realization. It is space and time which lend themselves now to infinity and eternity. which is important. Savitri is the instrument. It is through her now things had to happen in space and time. So this is the kind of background you have from the book of yoga. And now from here we go rather to the book of death. Savitri with that experience now is coming to the concrete realities of this world. She has to face death. She has to meet death. She has to meet death through the death of Satyavan. We have here now book 8 beginning, Death the Forest. There is some history behind it, but that will take next time. How it is being called Canto 3, Death in the Forest. As if there is nothing prior to this canto. There are Canto 1 and Canto 2. Book of Death is simply called Canto 3 here, Death in the Forest. As I said, we'll see the history of it later on in some detail. Now it was here in this great golden dawn. Now this is the day when Satyavan is to die. The death of Satyavan is to occur on this particular day, the day brought by the golden dawn. It is the golden dawn which is bringing the day of Satyavan's death. Now, to a certain extent, this now looks disconnected. What we have seen earlier in the previous canto, eternity and infinity speaking through her and all that kind of a thing, etc. And suddenly we got here an opening. Now it was here, this great golden dawn. What is the connection between this and the previous canto? Let me very quickly, very briefly tell now that this particular line now it was here in this great golden dawn has a full stop at the end of dawn. In the manuscripts. Huh? Well, yeah, as I said, we'll discuss that thing in more detail, but I'm just pointing it out at the moment here. Because you see, this Canto 3 itself is a little puzzling thing. What happened to Canto 2? First two cantos of this book, you see, where are they? They were not written at all. They were not written at all. There is a footnote at the end of our book, end notes. Fourth. In the end notes, fourth. This book was not completed.
Not completed means it was
I will tell you. This canto, which the author named Canto 3, was composed by him from his original version and rewritten at places. Now, this sentence here. This canto with the author named Canto 3 was compiled by him from his original version. Now this original version belongs to the first draft of Savitri, written during the Arya period, 1916 to 1918. The first draft of Savitri belongs to that period. And it is there that this particular canto appeared first, what we have here, Canto 3. And later on, very quickly, so to say, hurriedly, it was read out to Sri Aurobindo, and he made some revisions here and there, minor revisions here and there. But then it was left as it was. He didn't have time to take it up again. Now this, what we have written here is the footnote which is present in the first edition of Savitri, that footnote number 8. Footnote 8, end note, that is the footnote which appears in the first edition of Savitri, 1951. As I told you earlier, toward the end of composition of Savitri, Sri Aurobindo had taken up again the Book of Fate, and he had added those 3 passages, 3 lines, 7 lines, 72 lines. Absolutely the last dictation of 82 lines, mid-November 1950. When that dictation was over, then Sri Aurobindo had asked Nirodharan, is there anything left? And there Nirodharan said, yes, the Book of Death and the Epilogue. Book 8 now and Book 12. These were to be revised. These were not taken up until then. And then at that time, Sri Aurobindo made a remark, oh, we shall see about them later. We shall see about them, these 2 books, about them later. And that later on never came, was not supposed to come. He left it there as it was, and that's all. It was left as it was, you see. So in that sense, this particular book, Book of Death, Book 8, was never taken up again for revision. Now, when he says we shall take it later on, it certainly means he had a lot of material to add, and that had remained undictated. It was not given to us at all. Perhaps it was not to be given, and therefore it was held back. Possibly also that writing about death without he himself experiencing death would have been like telling a story. It won't be a full realized description of facts. Either he should experience the death, or he should experience the death through the death of the mother. Then only the Book of Death would acquire that kind of an authenticity of realized experience which is there throughout Savitri. Therefore, we should say about that thing later on. That later on, that experience of death can be described only when a new body is born. The divine body is born. Then only the death of the old body can be experienced and explained and described. Unless the new divine body comes here, it cannot be described at all. It is a part of the inconscient process. Therefore, we shall see about that thing later on. Later on means it has to come only when the divine body is born. So, when he comes again here in a supramental body, made in a supramental way, then that later on will come. Huh?
I knew this. I didn't know that.
You did not know that. Who knows it? I am talking as if I know.
No, this is really new for me.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, you see. So, in fact, I will go one step further also, perhaps. When the supramental body is made in a supramental way, then it will not be really necessary to describe the process of death. That later on is not perhaps necessary then. Perhaps not necessary then. Which means that whatever he had to give, he has given fully in this canto here. When you say that it is incomplete, I think it is our way of becoming stupid in a certain way, certain manner, to say it is incomplete. It could be that he meant it that way and left it as it is. This book was not completed. How can we say that? Whatever he wanted to give, he has given. And that's it. If you have a difficulty, it is your difficulty. You have to solve your own difficulty. So this footnotes, well, it's all right. They have certain value, but don't attach too much of importance to this. You see, they have certain value, all right.
Then why didn't he call this come to one?
Yeah, I'll come to that. You see.
No, I don't think so.
Nobody's. From the beginning, he titled it Canto 3.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But
We are all humans.
Yeah.
We are all humans.
Yeah.
I think he knew.
Of course he knew.
Then he could have done come one.
It is Canto 3 in a very appropriate manner. Appropriate manner. The appropriateness is, see, Savitri opens with the symbol dawn. Canto 1. Savitri comes. There is an issue of this creation. Canto 2 of this symbol dawn. Now from Canto 3 onward till this point, is a great long detour, so to say. In the narrative sense, it does not connect the story at all, so to say. Therefore, the canto 3 is death, and from that point onward, the issue is there, death is there, proceed. Proceed. So, in a way, if you want to call it very loosely, all those cantos, all those 400 pages or so, are a kind of padding. Canto 1, symbol dawn. Canto 2, the issue. Canto 3, death in the forest. You come directly to the issue now, question. Death occurs and then proceed further. Yeah. Well, if you really see from the point of view of storyline, what all those cantos do. Ashapati comes, he does tapasya, he does this, he does that thing, all that thing happens, Savitri is born, okay. Finally, what has that thing to do with the main issue? Nothing, in a way. It is only to satisfy our story curiosity that that whole material is there.
Yeah, and all these experiences are happening.
Yeah, that's all right. So that is the background. From the point of view of narrative, legend, story, Canto 1, Canto 2, Canto 3, death, and dialogue with death, conquest, etc.
The rest is preparing Savitri.
Huh? Yeah, so that's all. This is only, okay, this is background, this is a frame of reference. He is preparing a very wide frame of reference for that. You're not,
To be ready to paint the net.
you're not convinced. I will say you should not be convinced. Well, as I said, we'll discuss this in more detail again later on.
It's the birth of death.
Pardon?
Canto 1 is the birth of death.
Birth of death.
Death.
Birth of death. Yeah, but then he is describing what is going to happen in the story. The divine manifestation has to take place. That is the proposal. But then there is an issue. What is the issue? Love, doom, and death. Sorry, love, doom, and earth. They are in conflict, this issue, and that has to be resolved. The resolution starts with the death. Resolution starts with death. So that now it was here, this great golden dawn comes because of that. That issue is going to be now sorted from here onward, golden dawn. So in the occult sense, actually the link is only between these three. Canto 1, the symbol dawn, Canto 2, the issue, Canto 3, the death. And the encounter with death, fighting with death, conquering death, and bringing down the divine upon the earth. That is the main theme, main story of Savitri. In fact, if you want to really create a ballet for Savitri, I will do this. Start with symbol dawn, focus the issue, come straight to death. Conquest of death and the golden dawn. I wish it happens. If somebody can help us or we can do something as a ballet, we can prepare something, you see, like a script and do something on that, you see. See here, we'll read it in more detail later on, next time. But here we have the necessary background about Satyavan's death. as is present in the Mahabharata story of Savitri. Vyasa Savitri. I will read just one passage. You will see that in more detail. Rishi Markandeya, who is narrating the story of Savitri to Yudhishthira, he is telling something about this one. O Yudhishthira, with a rolling of several lunar days, as the time was passing, the fated hour when Satyavan must die was also approaching soon. That is the day. Now, here was the day, you know, that's what it's saying. ततः काले बहुतिथे व्यतिक्रांते कदाचन प्राप्त स कालो मर्तव्यम यत्र सत्यवता नृप. That is the story of this one. O Yudhishthira, with the roaring of several lunar days, that is the way in which the days are counted in the Indian calendar. As the time was passing, the fated hour when Satyavan must to die was also approaching soon. Savitri was counting down the day with each lost day what Narad had foretold about the impending doom. Those words were ever fixed in her heart. The virtuous and noble lady, now much worried when she saw that only 4 days are left. Yes, out of 4 days, Satyavan is going to die. Left only 4 days. Undertook the 3-night vow was standing night and day at one single place. She has determined now to stand what is called the Tri-Ratra Vrata, 3-night vow, standing at a given spot continuously for 3 days, nights and days, 24 hours each, 72 hours constantly. The king, when he heard of this difficult vow, was very much distressed. He got up and spoke kind and conciliative words to Savitri, king, that is Satyavan's father, Dyumatsena. See, Savitri is counting the days, only 4 days are remaining for Satyavan's life to be. He is going to die after 4 days. And therefore she makes a resolve to do this vow, to carry out this vow. It is a very, very difficult vow, extremely difficult vow. But she would not do it of her own. She is seeking permission from the head of the family, the elderly person, Dyumatsena, Satyavan's father. And when he heard of this difficult vow, was very much distressed. Obviously, he got up and spoke kind and conciliative words to Savitri. Dyumatsena said, O princess, what you had taken upon yourself is very hard and severe. To remain standing throughout like this is extremely difficult to accomplish, to carry out this vow. Savitri said, be not disturbed about it. She assures him, don't be disturbed about it, please. I shall be able to carry the vow without blame, without any fault, without any imperfection. I shall be able to fulfill the vow. Only a firm resolve makes it go through successfully, and I have initiated it with that firm resolve. She assures him. Then Dyumatsena said, how can it be proper for me to tell you at all to break the vow? You are doing something meritorious, something great, something righteous, something noble. He has no idea that she is doing for a purpose. Dyumatsena has no idea. But the fact that she is engaged in a vow, a holy vow, nobody will obstruct, nobody will come in the way of doing that thing. At the most, he will advise that looks a difficult vow, it's not a very easy thing to carry on. But ultimately, nobody will stop at all. How can it be proper for me to tell you at all to break the vow. Pratham vindanti vaktum tvam nasmi shakta kathanchana. How can I? The best a person in my position can wish for you is that you be able to take it to the full end. These are my blessings. And carry on, you see. And goes on like that, you see. And then Markandeya said, saying so, the great minded Dumasina retired, and Savitri, standing erect on a fixed spot, appeared to be as though she was a straight wooden post, like wooden post, standing there. Oh Yudhishthira, tomorrow the husband is to die. It was with this thought and filled with an intense grief, Savitri remained standing even as the last night the vow was about to be over. The last night. "60 hours she is standing, now only 12 hours are remaining. Next day, knowing that it had arrived well with the sunrise, she completed the morning rituals and lit a bright fire and made to a sacrificial offering. She is doing yajna in the morning at the end of the vow. You see. Then she gave her respects and obeisance to all the elders and to the sages in the entire forest. All the ashramas which are there, she goes and offers her respects to the rishis, the sages, to the sages and to the in-laws. Folding her hands reverentially, she stood in front of them. All those dwellers in the sacred forest, grown in austerity, blessed Savitri. The sages wish for her good, auspicious things and a life without widowhood. She is a young bride, and you say, Saubhagyavati Bhavo. Let you remain always with Saubhagya, without widowhood, Saubhagyavati. Entering into the yoga of meditation and saying to herself, be it just so. They said, let your life be without any calamity, widowhood, without you. And she is catching those words of those rishis, Saubhagyavati, and meditating on those words in her heart. Savitri, those in the sacred forest grown in austerity. Bless Savitri, the sages wish for her good auspicious things and a life without widowhood. Entering into the yoga of meditation. Yoga of meditation. Savitri is an accomplished tapasvini who has done tapasya. She is well versed in the yoga of meditation. He says here, Savitri is Dhyana Yoga Parayana. She is an expert in the yoga of meditation. Savitri is an expert in the yoga of meditation. So she enters into the yoga of meditation and holds the words of the rishis in her soul and brings to them. Let that be so, what they are talking of. Now, this is important also in the Mahabharata Savitri. There is no book of yoga. But when he speaks that she is an expert in the yoga of meditation, it means that she has already done the yoga. It is a way of saying that she has done the yoga. In Shravandu Savitri, the book of yoga did not exist till 1946. It came much later. It did not exist at all, you see. You had Book of Fate, and immediately after that, Book of Death, you see. Book of Yoga. It did not exist at all now. Now Shravandu has, of course, elaborated that thing here. But the hint of Savitri being an accomplished yogini is present in the Mahabharata story itself. Knowing that particular time and that moment, as foretold by Narad be arriving, the princess was filled with great grief in the thought. Now she is human Savitri. Yes, within a few hours now my husband is going to die. This was early morning. She is going to the hermitages, meeting the rishis and all that, maybe around 8 o'clock. She is receiving their blessings. And she is now again back human. Next, within few hours, he is to die at noon. In 4 hours, Satyavan will be no more there. The princess was filled with great grief and the thought, "Oh Yudhishthira," finding thus the princess seated lonely and quiet, the father-in-law and the mother-in-law spoke with loving tenderness to her. Well, that is the Savitri story. Huh? They don't know at all, no.
She is the only one who knows.
She is the only one. Nobody else, not even the rishis know.
They didn't ask her what's the matter.
No, well, it is taken as a part of your tapasya, your sadhana. You don't ask personal questions.